Namaskar. When you look around the world today, it's pretty clear that a lot of our systems are under stress, and societies feel more and more divided. It has a lot of people searching for a totally different way forward. Well, today, we're going to dive into a source that presents just that, a really comprehensive vision for society. It's an alternative framework called Prout, and it proposes a radical rethinking of pretty much everything: how we live, how we work, and how we connect with each other.
Right from the get-go, the source material does not pull any punches. It sets this tone of incredible urgency. This isn't framed as some abstract academic exercise for some time in the future. No, this is presented as a direct, necessary response to a world that the author sees in crisis, right here, right now.
Okay, so let's get into it. What's the specific diagnosis here? Why exactly are we at this critical juncture? Well, the source paints a pretty stark picture of our global situation.
According to the source, the problems we're facing are deep and systemic. It talks about exploitation by what it calls human demons, a mindset that goes beyond just hurting people to harming animals and even plants. This way of thinking is seen as the engine behind our environmental destruction, wiping out forests and literally creating new deserts. And at the very core of it all is a sharp critique of our current economic and political ideas, which the source argues have deliberately split society into the haves and the have-nots through systems that actually depend on exploitation to function.
So what's the engine driving all of this? If those are the symptoms, what's the underlying disease? The philosophy points to a really specific concept in human psychology. And here it is, a key term: psychic pabula. You can think of it as this deep-down, unchecked, unlimited desire for more stuff. It's described as an infinitely insatiable psychic urge for material things. The source argues that this fundamental human drive, when it's just left to run wild, becomes the very root of the crisis we're seeing all around us.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. The source takes a hard look at the two major ideologies that shaped the last century. It basically says capitalism just unleashes the psychic pabula into a hungry profit motive, which inevitably leads to exploitation. Communism, on the other hand, tries to just stamp out these same urges with brute force, which leads to stagnation, a society in the doldrums. So the conclusion is pretty blunt. Both are seen as anti-human systems, because neither one actually understands how to properly guide this fundamental psychic drive.
So, if the dominant models are fundamentally broken, what's the alternative? This brings us to the core proposal of Prout, which is short for Progressive Utilization Theory.
And the source makes a really bold claim here. Prout isn't just another little economic adjustment, it's presented as a panacea, a holistic solution designed to address the entire human experience, from our most basic material needs all the way to our spiritual growth.
And this slide really shows you just how comprehensive this vision is. So you've got Prout itself, that's the socio-economic foundation. But it's built on these other pillars. There's Neo-Humanism, which is an ideology for expanding our circle of concern to all beings. Microvita theory, a whole new science for our physical and psychic health, a major focus on elevating culture through the arts, and of course, personal spiritual practices. It's a completely integrated, multi-layered way of looking at how to transform society.
So how does this grand vision actually translate into a practical blueprint for society? Let's take a look at how this philosophy gets down to brass tacks, starting with its economic structure.
The economic model here has 4 dimensions. It includes a people's economy that's all about guaranteeing everyone's minimum needs, mainly through cooperatives. Then you've got a commercial economy for efficient production, and a general economy for the big key industries. But the most unique piece of the puzzle is the psycho-economy. I mean, think about that. It's a part of the economy specifically designed to root out exploitation and actively help people grow their psychic and spiritual potential. It's economics with a conscience and a consciousness.
And the whole planning process is flipped on its head. It's radically decentralized, starting at the superlocal block level. The entire idea is to build from the bottom up. A community first figures out its own resources, then makes sure every single member has their minimum necessities guaranteed. From there, it creates local industries for full employment, and the ultimate goal is for each block to become self-sufficient. It's all about empowering local people to solve their own problems. This system also completely redefines what economic success even means. It argues that per capita income, that number we hear about all the time, is actually deceptive because it can hide massive inequality. The real measure of a healthy economy, according to Prout, is purchasing capacity, the actual guaranteed ability of every single person to meet their needs. The goal isn't just growing some abstract number, it's about constantly increasing that real, tangible purchasing power for everyone.
Okay, finally, let's get to the philosophical core of this entire vision. It really all comes down to a fundamental choice between two very different ways of seeing the world and our place in it.
The source presents these two paths. First, there's the path of analysis. This is all about focusing on our differences, race, religion, nation, and splitting society into competing groups. It's the psychology of us versus them. But then there's the path of synthesis, which is all about establishing unity in our diversity. It focuses on our shared humanity and works toward the welfare of everyone. At the end of the day, it's a choice between a mindset that divides and a mindset that unites.
And the source uses some incredibly strong imagery to warn us about that divisive path. It says, those guided by narrow group interests are like ravenous tigers, lying in ambush, ready to pounce. It's a pretty stark warning about where separatism is believed to ultimately lead.
And this, of course, leaves us with a really powerful question to think about. If we were to truly commit to this path of synthesis, to actually prioritizing the welfare of all over the interests of a few, what would our communities, our nations, and our world really look like?
But the source doesn't end with despair. It's actually the complete opposite. It ends with this profound sense of optimism and a powerful call to action. It suggests that the time for this change is right now, that this vision of a united, balanced, and progressive world isn't just some distant dream, but a real possibility, just waiting for us to make it happen.